Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MMA Weekly with Austin and Chef Dan. I am Chef Dan. Austin, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. You can hear me all right, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm doing very well, and I'm glad to be talking MMA this week because a lot happened this past week, and we got a lot of breakdown with the sport. So, very busy month for MMA fans with UFC, Bellator, etc. So,
oh yeah, there's about to be an overload of I don't know. I mean, you can never have too much MMA, but there's about to be a plethora of MMA cards coming up this weekend. So we have a lot to break down. Wherever you're listening, wherever you are listening to with us, whether it be on an audio platform, on Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or if you're listening to us on YouTube, which we will do shout outs at the end of the show to make a regular comment of it and answer some questions in the YouTube comments. But all in all, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we can get right into this Bellator card that happened this last week. Austin, if you want to get right into this one that happened on Friday.
Yeah, let's definitely do that. This past Friday was Bellator 277 from San Jose, California, and the main event was Patricio Pitbull versus AJ McKee for the rematch for the featherweight title. At the last fight, AJ McKee won via first round submission, and this fight was totally different. Patricio Pitbull wins a very close, somewhat controversial decision over AJ McKee, 48-47 on two judges' scorecards, I believe, and 49-46. No, it was a unanimous decision. My bad. 49-46 on one judge's scorecards and 48-47 on the two judges' scorecards. Now, this was definitely controversial because watching it, I thought AJ won the fight. I thought AJ did more and landed more shots in rounds 1, 4, and 5, while I gave 2 and 3 to Pitbull, especially in the third round where Pitbull almost did finish AJ with the right hand that wobbled him and then that guillotine choke near the end of that third round. But I guess a lot of people were saying it was a very close fight, especially that first round. Some people was somewhat close, but I thought AJ won. And I thought AJ won, but maybe since the fight was close, I could see why some people thought Pitbull won. I mean, what are your thoughts on this fight, Dan? Did you agree with the judges, or you thought AJ McKee won?
I agree with you. I didn't agree with the judges at all. I thought AJ won this fight. It wasn't an eventful fight. It wasn't an entertaining fight. It was a close fight, but I really thought, like you said, AJ landed more to me. Granted, Patricio was bringing the forward pressure, but I thought AJ was smart. He dodged a lot of the shots that Patricio was throwing. I thought AJ had some very convincing moments throughout the fight. Patricio had his own convincing moments, but all in all, I thought AJ McKee won the. I thought he won the 5th round. I thought he won the 1st round, and I thought he won the the 3rd round,
4th round,
4th round. Yeah, because me and Austin both watched it together, so we were discussing it, and it was like we were both shocked, and even AJ McKee was shocked at the end. You saw the utter disbelief in his face because it to me, I thought he won, but if it wasn't clear and you left it to the judges, then I could say that's the fault of AJ McKee, because you have shown that you could finish this guy. And it was a lot of dancing around the pocket with both of them.
It was, and I think both guys. I think Pitbull obviously being finished and having to reach this advantage definitely made him more cautious in this fight. Versus how he typically fights in his career. And then AJ McKee, I guess he was very cautious. I guess he respected Pitbull too much, but I understand because Pitbull does have power and he's a very good fighter. But yeah, I thought some people were pointing out they felt like AJ's corner could have been better because AJ's corner kept telling AJ that he was winning or dominating the fight. Instead of like telling them to be more active, hey, he could have lost and things like that, etc. And so some people were pointing out that AJ's corner wasn't exactly the best. There was something at the end between rounds 4 and 5. I forgot. I think his dad said something that you're not supposed to do if you're a corner man. Something about I forget what it was exactly. It was something involving like, you're something like you got this fight in the bag or something. Not that, but it was something where he was basically telling AJ that he's basically winning the fight. And that's some people are mentioning that AJ's corner didn't do the best job.
It really wasn't the best job because it was such an incomplete fight. It felt like there was more punches to be had, more kicks to be had. It was a lot more activity to be had.
I agree.
It just felt like both fighters left so much on the table that coming away from this fight, I wanted to ask you this question. Do you want to see a 3rd time?
I wouldn't mind, but I understand why
you have mixed feelings about it, right?
No, the reason why is because AJ's talking about wants to go up to 155 and doesn't want to do the 145 cut anymore, which I think if he does do that, kind of a shame. But at the same time, I understand because he is big for 145. To me, the best solution is this: AJ wins his one fight, Pitbull defends his belt, then you do the trilogy fight because they are 1-1. Because Adam Borsch is a guy you can definitely give a title fight to. Considering the role he's been on, he's only lost one fight in Bellator. I think he's like 7 or 8-1 in Bellator. And the guy Aaron Pico, who fought earlier in the card, who looked very well in this fight, especially against the late replacement. So there's other guys too who make claims for title shots in the featherweight division. So I think maybe instead you should probably do if Pitbull decides, McKee decides to stay at 145, do McKee and either Borsch or Pico, and Pitbull fight either Pico or Borsch, and they both win, then do the trilogy fight.
For all the excitement that was built up in this fight, and I knew it was going to be a bit patient, but I knew at some point there was going to be a lot more activity. I was waiting for that increase of activity, and it truly never happened. There were certain moments, but all in all, it just wasn't an exciting fight. I wasn't excited to see a trilogy between these two. And what's crazy is that I don't know, man. Borgs does definitely deserve a shot. And Pico definitely looked dominant in his fight. His fight wasn't entertaining at all either because he was just so dominant in his fight in every aspect of the game. It was just 3 rounds of pure domination. So I don't know. This one didn't leave me feeling any excitement looking forward.
Yeah, it did not. It wasn't a great. Like I said, it was a disappointing rematch considering the first fight wasn't exactly competitive. I mean, and in 2 minutes with McKee the guillotine, but still, you thought it would do more considering how good both fighters are and how well both guys were coming to the first fight. Considering they're 2 elite fighters, but it just didn't work out. It just didn't go that way, unfortunately for us.
Most definitely. I mean, so with that being said, I don't know if you have anything more you want to add to the breakdown of this fight. We can move on to the next fight. This is for the light heavyweight championship. Vadim Nemkov versus Corey Anderson. It ends in a no contest due to an accidental clash of heads that leaves Vadim Nemkov open, bleeding on top of his head. And man, what I can say about this fight was it was a shame. It was a shame because watching this fight, Corey Anderson, Vadim Nemkov wins the first round to me.
Clearly,
he clearly won the first round because the striking was just better than Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson didn't know what to do with the striking of Vadim Nemkov. The second round, Corey Anderson decides to mix it up. And in doing so, he takes the round. Like, it's clearly his round, the second round. I didn't know he was that good on the ground versus Vadim Nemkov because I thought Vadim Nemkov would have, given him more of a challenge, at least getting him on the ground. But Corey Anderson was able to do it repeatedly. And it was, it wasn't, I don't want to say effortless because Vadim Nemkov did put up some great defenses. But ultimately, Corey Anderson was able to get to his end goal, which was getting him on the ground and landing some damage shots. Then you come into the third round, right? And I spoke about this with Austin. I remember this shot because they showed it on the slow motion. I was like, oh man, he did himself a weird disservice. He's grappling with Vadim Nemkov on the ground. He has top position. And in the midst of him throwing blows, he throws an elbow that at the very same spot where he later on headbutts Vadim Nemkov. So to me, it felt like he softened up the tissue that would later on be opened up by his own headbutt. I mean, what do you do with that?
It's bad luck. I mean, bad luck. Well, yeah, it's bad luck because Corey Anderson was 3-4 seconds away from winning that round. And if he had won if the fight got in the 4th round and that happened, they were going to judge the scorecards, and Anderson would have won 2-1, and he would have been the light heavyweight champion. Not only that, he would have won the light heavyweight tournaments and got $1 million prize, and on top of that too. So I mean, it's just unfortunate because, like you mentioned, Nemkov clearly won the first round. He was better striker. Did defend Anderson's takedowns a couple of times in that first round. It was very good. Second round, Anderson's big adjustments, take him down and win that round with some of his we did on top and some of his offense. Despite Nemkov, trying to go for submissions and trying, make it hard for Anderson on top. Same in the third round. Anderson did better in the third round, landing more shots at ground and pound. Despite Nemkov's resistance off the bottom, going for submissions, making Anderson uncomfortable, but Anderson kept adjusting. They're very good on ground, on top. He's a very good top game. But then the elbow happens, and then the head clash. And once the head clash, it just opened the cut, and that was a bad cut. I mean, it deserved to be stopped because that cut was bad. It was very, you could see the insides very well of that cut. If you saw it, when they showed the cut, it was bad. It's such a shame because Corey Anderson was so close to winning the fight, becoming the light heavyweight champion, and probably being considered the #1 light heavyweight in the world. And yeah, and just unfortunate events for Anderson. Very unfortunate.
It's very. No, go ahead.
It sucks for him. I mean, I mean, he was in good spirits afterwards, which I give him credit for. But that's gotta mess with him mentally, knowing that, damn, I was this close from winning the round, possibly going around 4. Who knows? Maybe I could have stopped in round 4. Maybe I could have dominated to a decision victory. Or if that had happened in the 4th round, the judges' scorecards would have came, and then 2-1 him, champion. Either way, it's just a bad. It just sucks Corey Anderson, considering he was, so close to officially winning the fight. You can go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, worst case scenario for Corey Anderson was that, let's say he wins the 4th round due to more takedowns and getting some strikes, and then Vadim Nemkov adjusts and wins the 5th round. That still gives him 3-2.
Yeah, you're right.
It would have. Oh man. This one just sucked. I watched it, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, he opened them up. Let's go. And then when they're like calling it off and everything, I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then you see how bad the cut is. I'm like, ugh. And then you watch the replay, and I'm like, oh man, the headbutt. I go, oh, it was the elbow too that softened it up. And as soon as I said that, they're like, we got to go right back to this elbow that happened earlier. I think, and Big John McCarthy is saying it. He said it just right after I said it. I think that's the elbow that really softened up the blow. And as soon as the headbutt happened, boom, it's like he just opened up. And it's just, it would mess with me. I don't know Corey Anderson personally, but me, it would mess with me because I would be like, I was right there. But that would give me more motivation to go back into the gym and get my stand-up game better. Because now I know I can take Vadim Nemkov down. I want the rematch. You can't deny me the rematch either. Because I was winning 2-1, clearly. And if I call for the rematch and you as the champ say no, like who else do you think deserves more of a rematch?
Exactly. And I think Scott Coker alluded to it, that they are probably going to do a rematch. It seems only fair that, because it's not finished business, you have to do a rematch. It's not to sell this fight, but the tournament, the tournament's unresolved. There's no winner. So there's no reason to do the rematch. You're going to have to do it. And
someone needs $1 million.
Yes. And it should help Corey Anderson. It motivate him to work on his stand-up game, because he now knows with Nemkov that's the thing that was giving problems. Although he knows he can take him down. But the thing is, it gives Nemkov, time to work on his wrestling defense even more, especially dealing with American, single leg wrestling versus Sambo wrestling, and get off his back. So it's kind of like one of those fights where it's like both guys now can adjust, and now they know what to work on, both guys, and who knows how the second fight's going to turn out, who makes better improvements, and it's going to be a more competitive fight, potentially, in the second fight.
Hopefully, most definitely. But, we do know Vadim is going to have to recover a little bit, because he can't wrestle too much, because head, hands, and hips, he can't involve the head right now. He's going to have to do just some wrestling where it's going to be against the cage, possibly someone, having the single leg, and he's going to have to try and learn to defend single legs and double legs against the cage and in the open area and things of that nature. But Corey, like you said, Corey Anderson, he has a template of what to work on. Vadim Nemkov has a template of what to work on. We have a very interesting rematch coming up, and that is some unfinished business. But from there, we can move on to the next fight on the main card, Aaron Pico versus Aldi Edwards. And like you said, Aldi Edwards was a late replacement, and Aaron Pico just did the round 3. It ended in the TKO punches. Essentially, the referee stopped it, a standing TKO, but it was no need to go any further than that, because Aaron Pico dominated him for 3 rounds. Everything. He gave nothing.
Exactly. They gave nothing. It was just Aaron Pico showcase. He did what he wanted. Take him down, ground and pound him, stand up, drop him, hurt him. Edwards was tough. Give him credit for his toughness, but yeah, I mean, Pico just put a whipping on that boy, like he stole something from him or something. Just beat him up, pillar post. I mean, Aaron Pico got the victory in third round TKO, and great showcase for him on a big card, especially as he now on 6-fight win streak. Ever since going Jackson Wink, he's really put it all together and just been living up to the hype that he had going into Bellator. He's been living up to it recently, and yeah, I mean, who knows what's next with Pico? Maybe if McKee stayed 145, maybe the winner. Maybe Borish, considering even if Borish has a victory over him, they can rematch and win and fight Pitbull, or maybe fight someone else that's ranked. Excuse me. Well, yeah, if you're pick Pico, you got a lot of options, and if you're Bellator, you gotta be happy with Pico going a 6-fight win streak and going out there and finishing guys and really showcasing all his skills.
I agree with you 100%. But more so than that, I don't think it's a bevy of options for him. Sometimes, I mean, when you're having so much success in one division, your eyes will wander to another division, see what possibly could be going on over there. I think sometimes what fighters miss is that some legends, they've made their namesake off of dominating one division for a very long time, and just knowing that at a certain weight class they just could not be messed with. The promotion tried bringing up this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, but it just didn't matter because this guy is like it was what it was. I mean, I know GSP is known to be one of the GOATs, and he's multiple division champion, all that. DC has made his claim for being on the Mount Rushmore for having multiple divisions, but see what John Jones could do with his legacy as well, and being a light heavyweight GOAT. He is a light heavyweight GOAT. There was a time where he was in the division and no one could stand up to him. Yeah. People gave him close fights, but all in all, he won. He came out on top, and he gave up the title on his own terms. So you can build your legend. You can build the legendary status off of doing that sometimes. So it's just an option.
Oh yeah, that's true. We shall see. I mean, we'll see next for Pico. Love rocking Pico. Can't wait to see his next fights, and we shall see what's next for him. Like I said, it's not redundant. And they opened the main card. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
On the main card was a heavyweight matchup between Linton Vassell and Timothy Johnson, which ended in the first round. First round victory for Linton Vassell via strikes in the first round TKO. And this fight was crazy because Johnson hurt Vassell. I thought Vassell was out. You remember he got dropped and then he got hit, got up and then got hit again. He just fell and looked like he was done. The referee's going to stop it, but he somehow survived. And then basically was able, Johnson went down to finish it on the ground. He reversed position, got on top of Johnson. I guess Johnson got tired and just Vassell was able to pummel him to the point where the ref had stopped him. Just like 2.5 minutes after getting dropped. I mean, what a crazy first round this was. This was definitely a great way to open the card.
Fireworks. And the Jedi himself was watching this fight, and he's got an eye on Linton Vassell now. He thinks this guy is going to be something in the Bellator heavyweight division. So hopefully he can, start to rise up in the division and give a guy like Ryan Bader some challenge for that heavyweight title. But like you said, this guy, he could take a punch. Something I don't want him doing too much of in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Because, one punch is all it takes. You don't want to do that too much. But for him to have the ability to just take a punch, take another one, and still survive, Tim Johnson's onslaught and reverse it on the ground and finish it via ground and pound, it was just vicious. And just kudos to Linton Vassell there. That was a showcasing right there.
That was a very great performance, great comeback. Just awesome fight.
All in all, man, this was a great event by the Bellator because the preliminaries had some very good fighters as well. Bobby Ceronio, He had an impressive fight against Caleb Ramirez. He climbs to 2-0 in his Bellator conquest to famedom and getting a title. He had a very, very good fight. I remember him. Leonard Anderson versus Jt Donaldson. He won in the first round via rear naked choke. He had a very good fight as well. There was some very good fights. Both the first two fights, Theo Haig versus Alan Benson, along with Leonard Anderson. Those two fights ended very quickly. Rear naked choke, first round. These guys started off the event quick. Let us know what type of event it was. So I want to salute those two guys there. Is there anyone in the preliminaries you want to shout out?
I want to shout Kyle Crutchmer for getting a victory in front of his not hometown but home base fans, because he does train in San Jose, aka never named San Jose. Got a good dominant victory against a very good Michael Lombardo, was 12-2 coming to this fight, and I mean it was a good victory, especially as Lombardo early on went for submissions as Crutchmer took him down, but Crutchmer was able to negate that. And also the third round, he picked up Lombardo, walked him, and then slammed him, which I love a good slam, especially picking another man up, walk him down, and slammed him. That's especially in the third round too. That's really like, gotta clap for that. But yeah, good victory for Kyle Crutchmer. He climbs up the Bellator rankings as he's probably the next prospect from AKA that's an American that can definitely do something in Bellator or UFC. Also,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a great fight that's between let me get their names right.
Rogelio Luna
and
versus Socrates Hernandez. Yes, this was a very, very good back and forth fight. Both of these guys said, "Screw it with the defense. We just want to throw leather and hit each other as hard as we possibly can." And Socrates, he had a great first round. My only issue is that gas tank, man. You gotta work on that gas tank.
Yes,
I don't know, maybe you're in the wrong division or something like that, because he started to fade later on. And Rogelio Luna, he just kept throwing. He figured it out. Like Socrates had a great first round, but then that second round, Rogelio Luna flipped the switch and he just kept going. And then he ended the third round after just both of them just kept throwing at each other.
Yeah, man, they just kept throwing at each other. I mean, Socrates Hernandez surprisingly had finished earlier because how tired he was and some shots he took from Luna. But Luna didn't have much power because he was exhausted himself and took some damage too in that second round. And there's the second round where Socrates got the takedown. The second or first round, at the end, he got a takedown. They getting hurt by Luna and went for a rear naked choke, but didn't get it. I think it was second round. I mean, that was incredible. Yeah. And then this was a great fight, very excellent. Well, probably early could. I mean, awesome fight. Highly recommend everyone to check it out if you can. You can watch Bellator YouTube channel for free. You can see that fight. Some people are saying it's reminiscent of Griffin and Bonner from the first Ultimate Fighter season finale. It was somewhat familiar to that fight, which I can see. Either way, excellent fight. I mean, the fight tonight, probably the fight of the weekend. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Bellator and UFC.
This was because I realistically looking at it, I'm thankful that this didn't go to decision. Because if you leave it in the judges' hands, I think the judges would have messed it up.
Probably, yeah, that's true.
You and I both know that.
Someone's
got to be the bad guy, and the judges usually are. But I'm glad that they were able to finish that in the ring. And I mean, who knows if Socrates starts to build up that gas tank and he shows more of a creative repertoire in his offense, and they both, just shore up the defense and get a little bit more creative in that offense. It could be a possibility where these two meet up again later on down the line, fighting for more, that this time they were both fighting to just get their names in the Bellator lore and get the names amongst the fans. But now they could be later on down the line, they could be fighting both, possibly for contention for a title, and they'd have to go through each other yet again. Who knows?
Good point. Yeah, very good point. And hopefully that might be the case. Let's see if both guys can improve and work on their skills and get some victories and develop. But yeah, I mean, great. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's something that's a perfect segue I wanted to add as we get right into this next card that happened on Saturday on ESPN Plus. Started at 5:30. It was Belal Mohammed versus Vicente Luque, Part 2. This is a rematch, and now they're 1-1.
Yeah,
they're 1-1. Two guys that met up the first time. This ended rather very quickly. Second time this happened, both guys have aspirations to get to a championship. They had to go through each other, but this time Belal comes out on top via unanimous decision, and I thought he deserved this unanimous decision, man. I thought he fought the better fight. There were chances where Vicente Luque could have won the fight, but he didn't press the issue enough. I think because Belal Mohammed didn't allow him to press the issue enough because of all the movement he had. What say you, Austin?
Belal Mohammed deserved to win this fight. He clearly won, and Belal Mohammed's movement really helped, especially helped him out, especially with Luque not being able to throw more strikes that he wanted to. But the thing with Luque that bothered me a little bit was that in the third round he won that round clearly. He hurt Mohammed twice, rocked him, and also threw a lot early on the fight. Threw leg kicks to Belal's left leg which that third round worked, because if you want to stop a guy's movements, the best way is to take out his legs. Leg kicking, calf kicking helps, and he did early on that fight in the third round, and was able to rock Belal and throw and even threw a body shot like his coaches wanted him to. That did hurt Belal. That led to him more success and rocking him in that third round. I don't know why you didn't go for that in the fourth round. Do more of that, considering that worked so well against Belal, and that's a great way to stop a guy with a lot of movements. Especially since he kept pressuring Belal into the cage too. That's another thing. It wasn't like it was center; it was pressure in the cage. It wasn't like he could have easily be able to do it. It's not like he's Dominic Cruz, Belal Mohammed, with his movement, to say the least. Then put the lighter up the air, show support like he's at a concert. But yeah, I mean that part was just, I don't know why he didn't do that. I mean, Belal Mohammed, I mean, good performance from him. I mean, he was able to take down Lucay. I mean, the initial takedown defense was not good for Lucay. Once they got on the ground, though, Lucay did a somewhat better job. He was able to get up a couple of times. But a lot of that due to the fact that, and DC couldn't mention it, Belal had never was a submission threat. In all his fights, he never threatened submission at all, Belal Mohammed. And stuff like that makes me question whether or not this guy can really compete with the top four of that weight class. And when I believe at top four, I mean top four as in the champion Usman, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, and now Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Belal had a good victory, but I mean, he's calling out Colby Covington. I know he's been talking crap about him for a while, but I don't think it's gonna go your way, Belal. Because here's what I think with him and Colby. Can you make your point, Dan? Actually, you want to talk? Go ahead, Dan.
You might as well drop the mic. You just take off the headset.
Take off the headset, just drop it. I mean,
just drop it, because what more can I add? You're clearly right about everything. I would just be repeating everything you're saying. Yes, Vicente Luque clearly had the booklet all in the third round, and then he completely went away from it. As to why he waited so long to even do it in the third round, because he kept showing hints of it all in the first and the second. Then you enact the plan in the third, you have a good result, and then you just completely go away from it. So now I'm watching this fight, and it's like, yeah, Belal Mohammed had a great victory, but I don't believe he can go against these top four killers. Gilbert Burns just showed, not for nothing, we looked at we spoke about the rankings. We said what we wanted in the rankings, Gilbert Burns should not fall anywhere lower than 3, and he didn't, because he didn't deserve to. For him to give Khamzat that much of a chance, and Khamzat deservedly won the fight. I think he won the fight, to me.
Me too.
But Gilbert Burns, he was no slouch in that fight either. He provided a good fight throughout the second and the third round. It's just that
twice.
Yeah, but like when you look at it, I'm looking at that type of fight, and that was a fight that Hamzat's coaches, they swear that was not the game plan. That wasn't the game plan they wanted at all, and he took way too much damage, and he decided to do whatever he wanted to do in the fight, which was he wanted to make it a blood war.
Yeah, you're right about that. Exactly. And totally hit the nail on the head. That was a week ago too. And then next week was the main event. Very important fight in the welterweight division, and it's that Luque could have done more. And like I said, the problem with Belal Mohammed is he's got a lot of decisions, and he doesn't have the greatest. He doesn't have dynamite in his hands either. And like I said, even Luque was able to get up a lot of times. Especially getting up his back is because he never threw in submissions until the 5th round.
I understand.
Pointing out.
Like, I understand that plan of side-to-side movement worked against Luque, but I'm being serious. Like, the reason why you and I are stressing this, and dude, I got to light it once again for you. Preach, brother. You just kept preaching, is because I look at it like, when you name those top 4 guys, when you name Usman, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, Khamzat Chimaev, all 4 of those guys are going to do the leg kicks. They're going to stop that movement. Matter of fact, Chimaev he's going to initiate the grappling with you. He's going to take you down, and he's going to go with the ground and pound. And if you try and reverse it, that's fine, because he knows you present no threat of submission. For DC to have said that in the first round when he got the takedown, and it to have been true all the way up until the 5th round when he decided, you know what, he heard DC say that, so he decided to go for the rear naked choke. Like, bro, I don't want to take away from the victory, but it just really felt like Luque came in there with the incomplete game plan.
Yeah. You're right. You're right about that part. It seemed like it. I mean, a lot of that was Belal himself, because Belal was able to get the takedown initially, which give Belal credit for doing that. Although Luque's takedown defense early on has not been the best, but it's just Belal did what he's supposed to do to win, which he's able to do: control it, take him down, use movement to hurt him. And what's the 4th round, he started throwing his hands, let his hands go a little bit.
Here's the other issue too. When looking at the takedowns. Here's how the natural progression of the fight is supposed to go. Because we've seen this amongst the champions. We know how, okay, we know how a guy is doing sometimes, because if a guy is fearful of your power, but he can move around and then try and get the takedown, it's like, all right, he got the takedown, but if you can get back up, even in open space, you know how to get back up. He's not threatening any submissions, and you still can pressure him to the cage, then chop his legs and slow it down. Gamble a little more. That way, if he feels a little more comfortable throwing the hands, it's like, okay, you're fainting. They were talking about Luque not even fainting. He's pressuring, throwing no feints, trying to get the one off when Belal is you ever seen, how do I describe it? Like the bar where you have to press space bar in to make sure you get it in a good zone. And if you get a good zone, a good result happens, like a shot bar, a shot bar in a video game where, the ball was going in the one side to the other. You have to make sure you get it as close as possible to the middle. And that's what Luque was looking at Belal like. It's like, get it in the middle. Get it in the middle. Get it in the middle. And it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm being a dead horse, bro.
No, you make good points about that. It's a good analogy. I get what you're coming from, and the whole pressuring, not throwing feints. I mean, I didn't think about that, but you're right. Should have thrown more feints. Didn't do, especially you're pressuring him. Didn't work. It just, yeah. I mean, not exactly the greatest game plan from Luque. And Belal Mohammed, like I said, not going for a submission threat. Like, it's not just this fight; some other fights too. DC mentioned he doesn't do enough. Even the Wonder Boy fight, he never really went for a lot of submissions in that fight either.
It was just
and
control.
Exactly. It was control.
I remember that fight being terrible because it was just control. It was 5 rounds of him controlling Wonder Boy on the ground. And we were just like, I remember you and I spoke about it. It was not an entertaining fight. Methodical, yes. You got through, yes, but it's not entertaining. And we clearly see the flaw in it, that those top contenders, number one, their grappling is better, so you're not going to be able to do that. And number two, your striking isn't up to par of those guys. They have different tricks of the trade to get themselves through whatever Belal we believe can present. So
exactly, even Covington, he doesn't have the power, but the one thing Kobe does have is volume, which I don't think Belal's can out volume Kobe. And Kobe striking, you watch his fight from Damian Maia back in 2017, Kobe's fight for Damian Maia versus the Usman and Masvidal fight, you can see the clear improvements in his striking since then. So I mean, even like I said, those guys, Covington, Usman, Chimaev, and Burns present better striking, and good striking, and better grappling. So that's why I look at him, I go, man, I don't know, I don't think he can beat those guys. I think those guys are all gonna give Belal problems.
You know what I really think helped Belal at the end of the day, looking at it, is the fact that Leon Edwards fights didn't go down.
Yeah, it was no contest because of the eye pokes. Well, that's a fight thing that should have been a rematch, because especially those 2 eye pokes and the way he did, I feel like Belal was owed a rematch because of that. He really took on short notice, but yeah, I think it definitely helped. Yeah, I think you're right about that point about the Edwards fight.
But yeah, all in all, Belal Muhammad, he definitely moves up. We'll see. If he moves up, then maybe Gilbert Burns calls him out.
Yeah. Burns, yeah.
He wants to call out Kobe Covington, but maybe Gilbert tells him, hold on, I don't think you're nice like that. Let's fight. Let's see you move up the rank one more time.
That's true, considering how close Gilbert and Luque are.
Yeah, he was in attendance.
Oh,
he was in attendance. He took notes.
Right.
He wants another 5-round fight too. He wants to be active. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Gilbert Burns too. So maybe that's the next fight.
I agree. Yeah, that could be the next fight. That'd be a great main event for a fight night too.
Well, we can move on from that fight to the next fight. This fight was this also in the welterweight division or in the light heavyweight? Middleweight division. Chao Barajo defeats Ghazi Omar Gaziev first in the round 3 decision. I thought, how did it end? Chao Barajo in the throes of grappling with Omar Gaziev, he knees him while Omar Gaziev's hand is down on the ground, and he has him in the clinch position. So they deduct a point from him, and Omar Gaziev can't continue, so they just go to the scorecards. Rightfully so. This one I thought rightfully so, even though he had an earlier infraction that they did take points from. But he won the fight convincingly. Chao Barajo dominant.
Chao Barajo was more dominant than I expected, going against Omar Gaziev, considering Omar Gaziev was 13-0 coming to this fight. And I know Chao Barajo has a good record. I think he was 10-1 prior to this fight, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, 10-1, but it seemed like Bahario was the better grappler, took him down, Omar Gaziev down, and was able to control him there, which that was the difference. Better grappling from Barajo, and then the third round, like you mentioned, he throws that knee while Omar Gaziev had hand on the ground, and once you need him, Omar can continue, and then, Barajo got taken a point got taken away from him because of that. But even then, because it was a 3-round fight and 2 rounds that previously happened, it was able to go to decision. Yes, because we talked about the Nemkov and Anderson and Bellator incidents. in terms of how it was still in the 3rd round, 5-round fights. Here, because it was a 3-round fight, they were going to decision because 2 rounds I think had already passed, and that's why it was 29-27 for Barajo because they took a point away. Otherwise, it would have been 30-27 just because how dominant it was all 3 rounds prior to the knee. And like I said, unfortunately, legal knee. I'm pretty sure learned from it. But yeah, good victory for Barajo, handing Omar Gaddafi up his first loss, considering the guy was 13-0.
And we definitely shall see where Chao Barajo goes because he looks like a very good contender in the middleweight division. Looks like a guy that he has a Charles Oliveira look already, with the glasses and everything.
Tall, lanky Brazilian too.
Lanky Brazilian that is a good grappler. We shall see where he goes in the division. But I want to move on from that fight to this fight. Andre Falajo versus Miguel Baeza. Whoa! First round TKO. Andre Falajo wins this one. This was very, very good. This was very, very good because first off, Baeza clocks Falajo with the right hand, makes him back up a little, very wary of what could happen. Falajo starts to get his feet under him, starts striking with Baeza. He's getting the better of him. Out of nowhere, he just catches him with the ooh. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen. This was a very good fight. Ended all in the first round. Austin, you go ahead. I know you got to take your pound of flesh about this one.
No, you said a lot of things I wanted to say in terms of Baeza hurting Andre Falajo in the first round. Rocked him, but once Falajo was able to get his wits together, he came through. I think it was an uppercut that dropped Baeza. Officially, it was an uppercut, and then
yes, held him in the clinch with the multiple uppercuts. That dangerous work in the clinch, and DC was preaching about that. I love seeing that because a lot of people don't try that in the clinch. Sometimes they're not, as soon as they're bodied up clinch, especially in the open space, you have a variety of ways to attack in the clinch. And there's not a lot of creativity in the clinch, but Andre Falajo, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, call him uppercut and then finish him off with, I believe, the left. I think it was the left. I could be wrong. Was it left? Yeah, it was left.
Massive uppercuts and then boom, extended the left to finish him off.
Yeah,
he was out. He was out, and then the hammer fist came through at the end and he tried to argue with the ref, but you saw it from when the hammer fist woke him up because the left put him out. The left had him on his knees bent, out looking up in the sky. Yeah.
No, you're right. The hammer fist woke him up, and then but he was done. It was a good stoppage by the ref. Great stoppage. Falajo got the very great victory. First victory in the UFC considering his debut fight against Michel Bahia in January did not go his way. But here gets his first victory in the UFC, and what a way to get it. Great TKO victory. A freaking uppercut, then a left to drop him, and hammer fist. First round. Good job, Andre Falajo. Can't wait to see his next fight because he's definitely a pretty good fighter and entertaining too.
Very entertaining. I'm looking forward to that. And I believe, give me one moment. Excuse me. Yep, he got a performance of the night bonus. So salute to Andre Falajo there for a performance of the night bonus, and he put on a great show. A great show. And we can move on from that fight to the next fight on the main card. Myro Bueno Silva versus Yananyu. This fight ended via unanimous decision. Myro Bueno Silva wins this fight. It wasn't the unanimous decision. I'm not arguing the unanimous decision. But could this have been possibly, and she also, that was also a fight of the night because they both went back and forth. That was, I don't think to me that was the best fight I saw as far as, back and forth. But I thought that, fight of the night, if it won the bonus, that's fine to me. But could this have been a better fight? I think on Myro Bueno Silva's part, to me, it could have been because she emptied the gas tank way too early in this fight for me. she was throwing from back here the whole fight. And then it came to the third round, and I don't remember who her last fight was against, but I remember when she emptied her gas tank against that fighter as well, she started to do it in the third round where she's showboating and trying to fight the person's ego. And sometimes you can win the fight that way. But if the tape is on you where you do that enough, someone will know, okay, you know what? I just have to stay more composed because I know your gas tank is empty. I know I can pick you apart there. And Yananyu, she kind of fell for it a little. And Myro Bueno Silva was able to etch out the victory that way. But it, you know, I thought she could have fought a better fight. What about you?
You said a lot of things I wanted to say. I mean, I'm agreeing a lot about throwing a better fight, gassing out a little too early there, and she kept throwing like punches from like back here, and like you know, empty her gas tank, especially in that third round, and that like I said, like trying to showboat and get like Wu fell for it early on, but in that third round, I mean, it was a good performance. Could have been better from Bueno Silva, especially since if she keeps doing that, eventually some other fighters can figure that out and use that against her, especially if she's tired and her opponent's not hurt at all. I mean, she can use that. Her opponents can use that to finish probably Bueno Silva. So that's something she's got to work on. And Silva seemed to be having more powerful shots than Wu. I feel like Wu's power wasn't there in this fight, based on what I saw. But, I mean, well, it was good. Well, I'm sorry.
I agree with you 100% there. Wu's power was not there for that fight.
Oh yeah, a nice performance for Bueno Silva. Definitely don't just throw everything with letter because you get tired, and then the third round that can come back and bite you in the in the butt, and then you're basically in trouble from there.
Most definitely, but we can move on from that fight to this next fight. Pat Sabatini versus Tj Laramie. This was a good fight as well, too, for me, man. This was a really good fight because I love watching Pat Sabatini put in work. Whenever Pat Sabatini is putting in work, I just love watching it because that guy is a consistent worker. He loves, you know, he comes in there, he's no nonsense. He knows what he's coming in to do, and that's what he did there. Tj Laramie definitely presented a better fight than most people. He had good grappling defense, but all in all, Pat Sabatini was able to reverse a lot of positions, and he, you know, his ground and pound saved him. Getting, you know, fighting through submissions, getting some, trying to get some submission attempts, definitely helped him edge out this fight, and it was a unanimous decision. I thought he won this fight through and through, but I don't think Tj Laramie is for the worst of this fight. I think these two guys are definitely going to meet again in this division. What say you?
Possible. Let's see if Laramie can bounce back from this victory, which I think he possibly could. Because Laramie, you know, this was his first fight in, what was it, 2 years? I think we talked about. He didn't fall in a while. Mm-hmm. So for him to do this was definitely a good sign. I mean, hopefully he gets more ring time, more octagon time, to definitely help him out and not shift the rust and maybe perform better. But Pat Sabatini is very good, especially in the ground game. He's very good, and he showed in this fight. You know, especially with dominant positions and all that, etc. I mean, he was very dominant. Very good performance from Sabatini, showing once again why people are high on him, especially if people who follow his career. And he won his fight 30-26, all three judges scorecards. So he was just so dominant in his fights. And his ground game is a problem for a lot of people. The key with fighting Sabatini is preventing it from getting on the ground, because if you're on the ground with him, it's a trouble for most of these fighters in the lightweight division. I think lightweight, if I'm mistaken. I'm forgetting these weight classes now.
Give me one moment. Let me check on that.
Could be wrong.
It's a featherweight. Featherweight.
Okay, featherweight. Yeah, his ground game definitely could be a problem for a lot of these featherweights in the future. Especially if they can't stop his takedowns. I mean, watch out.
Yeah, there has to be someone. I think right now what Pat Sabatini has yet to run into is someone with enough footwork to stay away, enough ground defense to keep themselves upright, and enough striking to keep the fight upright to where Sabatini is maybe has to say, you know what, I can't just, you know, walk them down and get whatever takedown I want. I'm gonna have to strategically strike with them and then get what I want. And maybe we'll see more from Pat Sabatini. But all in all, he's just shown that he's a different force in that weight division. And you and I are both looking forward to more Pat Sabatini. We can move on to the first fight on the main card. Mounir Lazzez versus Angie Luisa. Mounir Lazzez wins this fight unanimous decision, and I just thought Mounir Lazzez, he was way faster than Angie Luisa. Like, he was just so speedy against him. Whenever Luisa threw once, Lazzez had 2 more waiting for him. He threw twice. He had 4 more waiting for him, and he did land some powerful shots. But what I thought Luisa's detriment was that he knew Lazzez was faster than him. What he didn't want to concede was the speed and actually try and get closer to Lazzez, make this a dirtier fight. If he had the possibility of making this a dirtier fight, then he had a chance of maybe winning. But Lazzez is a specimen. He is a specimen to behold, man.
Okay, I did not see this fight. Unfortunately, I didn't see this fight, so I didn't get to see. You said Lazzez was a specimen to behold.
Yeah, Mounir Lazzez is a specimen to behold, bro. Because this guy is he's different, and they're in the welterweight division, but he moves very, very fluid. He moves. You know what's crazy?
What?
The fluidity of his movement reminds me of Giga Chikadze.
Really? Wow. That's for a welterweight. That's pretty impressive considering Giga's
very impressive.
Giga's got that great kickboxing, background too.
And he's very fast with the hands, Austin. He's very, very fast. So I'm looking forward to more of Mounir Lazzez, but also Angie Luisa as well. I want to see more of him because there's a chance for him in the UFC. He has to face the right opponent where he can showcase that power, and I believe he has something else. He has more in him.
Okay, and that concludes the breakdown of the main card of this fight night. This UFC fight night: Belal Mohammed versus Vicente Luque 2. And anything you want to mention the prelims, Dan?
Another fighter, a fighter in the preliminary, he got a performance bonus as well. Jakar Close, vicious finish in the second round via punches. He beat Brandon Jennings, the human highlight reel. Brandon Jennings, he did fight a more composed fight. That's what I wanted from him, but Jakar Close was he's a different animal. This guy's a different animal, bro. Different animal. You were saying something?
No, so go ahead.
Yeah, he's just a different animal. Another person I want to shout out is Devin Clark. He fought William Knight. I know you saw that one. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I like the finishes. I love the finish. The finish is pretty good. It was got him to clinch, 9 to clinch, and then he drops right elbow, then a left to drop him and finish him. Then just ground and pound. I mean, that was impressive. I like the combination. You don't see especially when you see usually it's punches, never like elbow and then a punch. It doesn't happen like as often as punches. So it was cool to see that. It's very unique and different. Very good finish for Devin Clark, especially at heavyweight too.
Oh yeah, and also the crazy part is I don't know, man. Maybe heavyweight is better for Devin Clark because he can take advantage of these big guys that are just swinging for power. Because we saw in his fight with Ion Cutelaba how he could just take a punch. Ion Cutelaba really punished him, but he fought through and was able to end up in taking it to the judges. Even though he lost that fight convincingly, I remember hearing his dad shouting his name, "Come on, Devin, fight through, fight." I remember his voice was ringing through the Apex Center, and so that's why I remembered him. And he took a beating in the first round from William Knight. William Knight got him early there, clocked him a little early, but Devin Clark was able to fight through the punishment and was successful in fighting through and getting it to the third round through his grappling, ground and pound, submission attempts. He kept, landing the body shots on the ground. That's something that I see fighters, they don't love doing a lot because they think it's ineffective. No, he was able to get the right angle on his shots and kept striking William Knight in the body, made him change his hands. He could have gotten the triangle, didn't happen there, but all in all, Devin Clark, awesome performance there. Another fighter I want to shout out, Penny Kianzad versus Lena Landsberg, wins the fight via unanimous decision. She was just on Lena Landsberg, and Lena was able to throw those elbows. She is the elbow queen. Got some elbows in on Penny, was able to change the complexion of the fight in the second and in the third round. But Penny, all in all, just kept the pressure forward with her striking, made it a gritty fight. This was a pleasurable fight for me to watch versus these two ladies.
For Penny, I think Penny, that's what I know. She's ranked. I know she's gonna move up the rankings a little bit for that victory. I'm trying to remember. Is she on a win streak or is this her bounce back win? 'Cause I know she fought Raquel Pennington and lost recently.
Yeah, she lost against Rocky Pennington, and so yeah, that's a bounce back from Rocky.
Okay, good bounce back. Keeps her in the rankings and good victory for her in that bantamweight division. There's a fight in prelims I do want to talk about that happened that was kind of controversial. Was the Martin Bunday fight against Chris Barnett. We're in the third round. Bunday hits Barnett with an elbow that looked like that was the back of the head, and Barnett, reacted and then, dropped down, and Dan Murray, I believe, stopped the fight because Barnett was really affected by the elbow, and do you think it should have been disqualification? Because I don't think so. Because I don't think he wasn't trying to. You could tell he was trying to hit him from the side on Barnett.
They shouldn't have DQ'd him. He was winning this fight convincingly. There shouldn't have been a disqualification at all. I didn't see the controversy in this at all. I think the biggest controversy was the fact that Barnett wanted to continue, but the doctors wouldn't let him. And it's like, yeah, because he was losing this fight. He was losing the fight. The only way he could have won the fight was via a KO. He had to take out Boudet out. That was the only way he could have won the fight. Because other than that, Boudet kept grappling him up against the cage and just kept laying down the punishment from the clinch. It was just, he was winning the fight convincingly.
They didn't kill him, but they got the victory, 30-27, alternate scorecards, thankfully. Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely unintentional, and it's unfortunate. It hit the back of the head, but Boudet was winning that fight. I mean, he was just bigger than Chris Barnett, just size. He just pushed him around. Basically, he was able to control the clinch game and grappling. And yeah, I mean, it's happened.
The other thing I wanted to add in regards to Chris Barnett is he had a very exciting finish that time, and I'm just gonna say this because I want what's best for him. That finish was amazing because we didn't know the athleticism he had at that weight class.
Yep.
He's got to shed some pounds. He's got to shed some pounds because he needs the gas tank to continue to fight in that weight class. Not only that, it's not like he would lose any power from the dynamic athleticism he has. If he says that was a beginner kick that he threw, and he was comfortable throwing that kick all night long, it's just that the gut, bro, I'm serious, the gut just kept tiring him out, and you see it. It's like, bro, you have so much opportunity with the athleticism you have. You got to cut some weight, brother. You got to cut some weight. You ain't got to be six-pack, but you got to cut some weight.
I agree. Cutting some weight can help. Getting down, like, instead of 264, 250, 248 can help big time. Can still be a legit heavyweight, but also have more energy and less, more energy. He doesn't get tired, and that can help him out in these fights. Considering, if you're tired, you're not going to do well, which is obvious, but still, especially in this weight class, the one weight class you don't get tired at because all these heavyweights got one-shot power, and if they can just hit you a good shot, they can knock you out.
I gotta check his weight. Give me one moment.
It was 264 when I saw the stats before they Bruce Buffer and
264.
Yeah.
All right, so then I'm 245, bro. 20 pounds is a lot. I think 245 gives him the gas tank to run around these heavy weights.
Yeah. Good point. A good victory for Byron Baudet, especially considering he did, not nice 10-1, dominant victory, was never in trouble at any point in the fight.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But all in all, that was the weekend that passed of UFC. Is there any other preliminaries that you want to shout out?
No, not at the moment.
Matter of fact, there is one more fighter before we move on. Alatong Haley, he won the first fight of the night against Kevin Kroom via TKO. I remember that fight. That was a very good fight. Alatong Haley, he's finally got a win, and I mean, he does have a few wins in the UFC, but he's coming off of a couple of losses, so he's got a win, and it's looking good for him. So I'm excited for him because he has a lot of power. But all in all, that's it for me on the UFC night, on UFC fight night. That was the weekend that happened past. This weekend, though, we have a lot more fights to be had. Starting off this Friday. Showtime, Bellator. The Women's Flyweight Championship will be decided between Juliana Velasquez and Liz Carmouche. Did I say that correctly, or Carmouche?
Liz Carmouche.
Carmouche.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about these two fighters, Austin.
Liz Carmouche, I mean, if you remember, her and Ronda Rousey were part of the first ever women's fight in UFC history, the UFC women's bantamweight title back in February. My voice, excuse me. It was February of 2013. I forget which pay-per-view it was. It may have been the pay-per-view, and that was the first women's title fight, women's fight period in UFC history. So she's been around for a while, Liz Carmouche. Her last fight in UFC was a loss to Valentina Shevchenko for the flyweight title, where she lost decision. Wasn't the greatest fight in the world. Then got cut from the UFC. Since going to Bellator, she just won three in a row. Excuse me. And she's got 2 finishes in that 3-fight winning streak as well. Her last fight was a TKO victory in the first round against Kana Watanabe back in June. So, yeah, she's definitely earned the title fight against Julia Vasquez. And Vasquez is coming off a very close, somewhat controversial victory in her last fight, which was her first title defense against who she defended against. I'm trying to remember now. I forget who Julia Vasquez defended the belt against.
Denise Kehlholtz.
Yeah, that's right. Kehlholtz, that's right. Yeah, it was controversial. I mean, it was very close. Some thought Kehlholtz should have won that fight, but she is coming in. Yeah, split decision. And for Vasquez, this is an opportunity to get a victory over a big name in Carmouche. She's fought for the UFC bantamweight and flyweight titles. Who's a girl who's fought the who's who of fighters. Beat some of the recognizable fighters, and this is definitely a main event of a Bellator of a show. Just an opportunity for people to give Vasquez her flowers and put more respect on her name. Despite the fact she is the champion, beat Leonard McFarlane, who's one of the bigger names in Bellator. And so, I think this is going to come down to probably a lot. Probably whoever has the better grappling exchanges wins the fight, in my opinion, of these two. Whoever can initiate the grappling and do better in the grappling, I think wins this fight. That's just my opinion. Carmouche and Vasquez.
Okay. Also on the card, we have Enrique Barzola versus Nikita Mikhailov. Any scouting tips on this fight here? There's something to look out for?
I know these are the wild cards of the Bellator bantamweight tournament. Forgot to mention this week the bantamweight tournament Bellator begins, which I'm very excited for because to me this might be the best Bellator tournament of them all. And yeah, a lot of talents. I mean, this is the excuse me, this is the wild card, and all I know is that Nikita Mikolov is A1. He's won, I believe, his last 5 fights. Looking him up from Russia, and then you got Enrique Barboza, who's 17-5-1. I'm just trying to pull up the records so I can see.
Yeah, 17-5-1. Yeah.
And like I said, I think both guys. Everyone's in this, tournaments and wild cards deserving of it. That's what I'm trying to say. They all deserve it to be in this situation. I think it's fair that these are two guys who maybe we're not too familiar with or talented, be in the wild card round, so that way whoever wins gets involved in the tournaments and see. So that way we get to idea who these guys are. Maybe we start caring about them more. I believe Barzola is on the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. I know his last fight was a victory over Darren Caldwell, where he stopped him in the third round, who was the former 135 champion. So that's kind of an impressive victory for Barzola, excuse me.
Yeah, his last fight on the UFC was against Ronnie Yaya. It was a draw.
Yeah, and after that he didn't fight again until this past January. We got Victor Caldwood. So So yeah, definitely both guys deserve it. I mean, not even, so I'm excited to see that fight. And then I know the other wild card fight is Jernal Lugo against. Who's he going? I'm trying to remember who's he going against.
Danny Sabatello.
Sabatello, okay. I actually confused Sabatello with Sabatini. I think I did or before because the names are so similar. Sabatello, Sabatini. I think they're both Italian, if I'm mistaken. Not Sabatini is. I don't know Sabatello. No,
Sabatello is Italian. Yep.
Italian gangster. That's his nickname.
Yep.
He looks Italian too. Shout out to all Italians watching us. Got love for Italians, especially if your food is the best food out there. I'll say of all the foods. But yeah, anyway, he's 11-1. Sabatello, Italian gangster, coming off I believe a 5-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Since his first loss, defeated Brett Johns back in May of last year. So he hasn't fallen in a while, but at the same time, it's a big opportunity for him. Turns out American top team has a chance to go out there and get in a tournament and has a chance to make a name for himself, maybe get that $1 million prize.
Against Jernal Lugo, who is a rising name, is stunning the Bellator world right now with his amazing ability in the octagon.
Yeah, Lugo's very good. I mean, you're right. He's undefeated. I mean, 8-0. You're right. He's definitely been one of the better prospects Bellator has, Jernal Lugo. It's only fair that he's in the wild card position. And if he can be a guy in Sabatello who's 11-1, if he can beat him, especially dominantly, that sends a message to everyone that this is a dark horse in the bantamweight tournament, which is something we all have to pay attention to. Like I said, this tournament, a lot of guys go in this tournament. That's why I like this tournament so much. That any number of guys can legitimately win this tournament. Who knows? Maybe the winner of this fight of the wild cards goes on and wins the tournament, like the Daniel Cormier of this tournament. If you remember Cormier back in Strikeforce when he entered the Strikeforce heavyweight tournament, it was an alternate. Also, Orman got hurt. He was supposed to fight Bigfoot Silva. He stepped in, knocked out Bigfoot. Then dominated Josh Barnett, won the heavyweight Grand Prix and made a name for himself. Daniel Cormier in Strikeforce, and then of course we all know he want to have a Hall of Fame career. So this could be a chance for the winner of the wildcard tournament to do that, potentially.
Most definitely. Also on the card in the heavyweight division, we have Christian Edwards versus Grant Neal. This is going to be interesting.
I agree.
Light heavyweight division.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with them. I know they both have one loss. One's 5-1 Edwards, and then 6-1's Grant Neal. Not too familiar with them. So
Edwards, I think I've seen him fight before.
That name does seem familiar.
Yes, he lost against Ben Parrish in the first round of 2021.
Oh yeah, okay, that was who he lost to. Yeah, you're right. Yes. Now I remember. They both come off their first losses, Edwards and Neal. So Tone's going to bounce back from this victory.
All right. Also on the card, we have Manny Myro versus Nate Andrews. You have any tips there?
Not much. Not too familiar with a lot of these guys on the card after this.
All right. So then, yeah, there's a lot of interesting names there that we're going to be introduced to. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm only going to say this about 3 times now. You can catch the preliminaries for free on YouTube. And 2 more times now. You can catch the preliminaries for free on YouTube. I'm saving the last one. And then Saturday night, we're gonna UFC is kicking it off Saturday night, 6 p.m. We have the Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade card on ESPN Plus. That's a fight night card. And me and Austin talked about this in the preliminaries. Can we keep it funky with you guys, ladies and gentlemen? There are some names here and there, but all in all, I don't think this card is going to be too exciting.
It's not the greatest card. I mean, last week's card on the UFC card has some fights that are interesting, some are like but this card, not a strong one, to be honest with you. It's really not. The main event is... Go ahead.
The main event is interesting. We both agree there. Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade. That's very interesting there. But then the co-main event, Clay Guida versus Claudio Puelles. I'm not interested there.
Nah.
Heavyweight division, Tanner Boser versus Alexander Romanov. Not really interested there. Macy Barber versus Montana De La Rosa. I'm going to have my eye on it a little bit. Sumerdaji versus Manel Kopp. I'm interested in that one because both of these guys are coming off of interesting wins. Charles Jourdain versus Lando Venata. I'm interested because I haven't seen Charles Jourdain fight in a while, and he really was calling someone out. Jordan Wright versus Mark Andrew Barrault. I'm interested there as well for Mark Andrew Barrault, but I'm not all the way interested. After that, it's a couple of names here and there. Anyone you want to point out?
The Manel Kopp and Sumerdaji fight, because both guys are ranked. Kopp's 14, Sumerdaji is ranked number 12. Both are finishers too. 17-6 for Manel Kopp. He's got 11 KO and TKOs, and I believe 5 submissions, if I'm mistaken.
I believe so, around so.
Yeah, so 16 of his fights are finishes. He's a finisher, and then you got Sumerdaji, who's also a finisher. He's got, I believe, 13 KO and TKOs and 1 submission. So both guys are finishers. So it could be a finish, or it could be a competitive back and forth fight where both guys are so good that they can't finish each other. But that could be a good fight. I think that would be a good fight. I see why you like Manel Kopp. I can see why, because I've gone back. I see his fights in UFC, and I see his fights in Ryzen, and yeah, he's pretty damn entertaining. Pretty good.
He's very entertaining. My only thing for both of these guys is they need to make weight. They're infamous. Both of these guys are infamous for not making weight. You got to make weight. Make weight, and it'll be a good fight because they'll possibly, between these two guys, have a potential for fight of the night.
I totally agree. I definitely agree with that. I like that Manel Kopp and Sumerdaji fight. Should be in the main card, hopefully. Especially it's 2 good fighters, and also it's a ranked fight in the flyweight division. I mean,
it's in the main card. Yeah, it's in the main card.
As it should, thank God.
And they finally put Charles Jourdain in the main card as well.
He's going against what? Lando Venata, you said?
Yeah, Lando Venata. Yep.
Oh, Venata always has good fights. So that's going to be, he always has entertaining fights, so that's going to be interesting to see if Venata puts it, what Venata does against Jourdain, what Jourdain does. It could be entertaining, hopefully. I think it will, but I can't recall too many bad Venata fights, personally. A boring
Charles Jourdain is he's an entertaining fighter himself, bro.
You're right.
I love Charles Jourdain.
Macy Barber, I'm interested to see how she does, considering, before the Roxanne Modafferi fight, she had a lot of hype and she was doing well, but then that fight set her back, and then she lost to, I think, Los Grassos, and then The last fight, we both agree that was a bad judging decision. Terrible one. That against Random Maverick. That was not a good judging decision. I told him what you did. I can see why you're rolling your eyes. Yeah. And I want to see how Macy Barber does against Montana De La Rosa, considering Macy Barber, like her last 3 fights been against very high level competition. You know, Montferry's OG and definitely a ranked fighter. Alexa Grassos, look how well she's done. And Miranda Maverick, who everyone touts her as a high prospect, but she is, because Maverick's very good. And we agree Maverick won that fight, but they unfortunately gave it to Macy. I do want to see how she does Macy against Montana De La Rosa, considering De La Rosa is 12, and I know she's going to a victory in her last fight, if I'm mistaken. Yes, against Aaron Leslie via TKO second round. But still, I think this should be, hopefully for Macy, a better fight for her against, better competition for her than a Maverick or a Grasso. Potentially, I don't know. I see you roll your eyes, Dan. I mean, talk to me.
That's all I gotta say. Sorry, I'm not, because the tape is out on her already. She's not gonna go hard until this later half of the second round and then the third round. But by then she's taken so much punishment that it's kind of debatable. But then even then, I don't like that style doesn't work. You and I both know that style doesn't work. For championships, that style doesn't work.
No.
Because you're going to take too much of a beating, and by the time you get to the 5th round, you already ain't got the gas tank.
Exactly, you're right. No, you're right about that, Dan. It's kind of like a bad version of Pierre Yan. Pierre Yan tends to be slow starter, but then he makes adjustments, and once he makes adjustments, he dominates. But Pierre Yan doesn't take that much damage, so that's the thing. He doesn't.
It's 2 different things with Peter Yan. Number one, he's making adjustments. And he's making adjustments by the amount of activity. That's the second thing. He's blocking some hits, taking some damage here and there, but he's also throwing back, calculating, you see. Because as the rounds go, and you see it, sometimes the adjustment happens just as quickly as even within the round to the next round. It's a boom, there he goes. He's figured something out. Now you got to show him something new.
Exactly. It's like Macy's doing a bad version of it with her.
A bad impression.
Yeah. She needs to get faster starts. If she can do that, I think she can take off in her career. It's just me personally. If she can just fix that, that's the thing that's holding her back, is that aspect. The slow starts.
Whatever. Anyways.
Let's talk about the main event, because I think we should, this isn't, just Andrade just going down in weight class. First of all, are you surprised? Because I'm a little bit, considering I thought maybe, so she did decent at 125, but I guess she's not exactly the biggest 125 in the world.
Yeah, there's that, because consistently you see Valentina Shevchenko, she's there at the top, and that's something she would have to always kind of go through with all the length, and the girls coming up behind her are lengthier and lengthier. She's the only odd one that doesn't fit. So now if you go into a division like strawweight, you see a girl like Zhang Weili, she's got power behind her, she's shorter, and she can touch those girls because they don't have as much power as a girl like Zhang Weili or a girl like Jessica Andrade. So it makes sense to me.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I do remember she did beat Kegan Shikugian. She finished her body shots, which I thought maybe her power, that's the one thing she had over the other girls is, the fact that they're all taller, she just hit them in the body. If her power, she can really do damage. That's just me, and she's strong, but I get where you're coming from, Dan, in terms of the size and, strawweight versus flyweight. I understand where you're coming from. But this is a good fight for her against Mina Lemos, who I believe is coming off a 5-fight winning streak, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah. She is coming off of, and it's surprising to me because Lemos, I'm surprised that Lemos would even take this fight because she's only ranked number 10 in the division. I thought her focus probably would have been, trying to fight someone higher ranked and get in the top 5, but this would be just as good too, especially against Jessica Andrade, who's coming off being number 1 in another division. This could also help you move up in the division.
Well, that, and also Jessica Andrade is a former champion at strawweight too. She beat Rose, she knocked her out, and so if you beat the former champion at strawweight and a girl who's number 1 in another weight class, that can do a lot for Amanda Lemos. That can put her in that top 5 probably. It'd be hard to not. I mean, if she beats Andrade and gets a top 5 spot, you can understand it, right? It's not like totally unjustified.
I'm looking at it right now. If you give her Marina Rodriguez, who's ranked number 3, I wouldn't argue that.
Wait, if you give Lemos that fight, or if you give her
after this one, if she wins versus Andrade, and you give her Rodriguez, who's ranked number 3, why would I argue that? I have no reason to argue that. If you give her Zhang Weili coming off of a victory against Jacek, or Jacek coming off of a victory against Zhang Weili, and they're ranked number 1, I wouldn't argue that either.
I wouldn't either, yeah. Or Mackenzie Dern.
All of those are viable names that I wouldn't argue, especially coming off of a victory against Andrade. Like, that's a tough ask.
Yeah, it is.
We shall see.
Yeah, Lemos is pretty good. She's got 11 victories, 11-1, and 1. She has a draw. She's got 7 knockouts, TKOs, and 2 submissions. So she's a finisher. And we know Andrade can be a finisher too. She's very powerful. I mean, we see her knock girls out. I mean, she's knocked some women out badly. Like a couple years ago, she just dropped her. Which you don't see in strawweights, girls getting dropped like that. She did. She slammed Rose on her head, knocked her out when she won the title. We saw to the kid she could hit her to body shots that dropped her. I mean, these girls, they got power, especially Andrade, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was like a somewhat slugfest early on, or even someone gets finished. I would not be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big test for Lemos. First main event against someone who's been one of the top women fighters in the world the last 5 years in Andrade. I mean, if Lemos passes this test, I mean, this is wonders for her career. And if you're Andrade, you beat Lemos, you're in the top 10 easily of 2 weight classes, probably 1 if you decide to say a strawweight. And now that and you can win a couple fights in straw and get a trilogy fight with Rose if Rose should beat Carla, remain champion too.
Yeah, but there's a lot of implications here on this fight. It's very interesting coming down the pipeline. And I'm interested in that, but it seems like it's Women's Weekend, this weekend, because not only is that the headline, and Friday is a headline for Bellator. Bellator has a 2-day event, ladies and gentlemen. They have a 2-day event, and this Saturday, starting at 8 p.m., they have an event where the headline is Cris Cyborg facing Arlene Blencowe for the Bellator Women's Featherweight Championship. There's a lot of interesting fights on this card here.
Ooh, yes.
There is a lot of interesting fights on this card here.
Yeah, I think.
Let's Cris Cyborg versus Arlene Blencowe. What do you see in this fight?
If I remember, Cyborg finished her in the first round or second round of their fight. I want to say it was late November 2020. October 2020. Okay, I know they fought before. I just don't remember when. And Cyborg, she stopped her. She submitted her. That's right. That was Cyborg's first submission victory. She submitted Arlene Blencowe in the second round, rear naked choke. That's I was very impressed considering that's Cyborg's first submission victory. And we think of Cyborg, we think of her knocking women out. We don't think of her submitting girls. So I mean, I wonder how that's going to play a factor. Does Cyborg try to go for submission again, or does she fake a submission, leaving Blencowe open, just dropping her with her power? Because we know Cyborg, that girl knocks women out. I mean, she's devastating. I mean, she messes up women. I'm trying not to cuss, but you get the point I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, nah, I get the point. But the other thing too is, I hope Cyborg isn't so confident in her power because she got the submission that she's overthrowing and makes the mistake that Amanda Nunes made against Juliana Pena, because I felt in that Nunes fight she kept overthrowing because she was so confident in her power. She felt that she could get whatever, that it's like, you know what, it's whatever, I'm gonna just throw with reckless abandonment, I'm gonna finish this quickly and I'm moving on to the next. And you can't do that. You got to focus on the opponent in front of you. You got the finish via the submission, your first submission. You know she's fearful of the power already because that's tape on you. But she's also going to be, you know, cognizant of the submission. Play with it a little. You mix the martial arts a little. It can help you out to your benefit. That's what I want to see from Cris Cyborg.
I totally agree with what you said. That's all good points about you. Play it. Don't get too cocky. Cris submit her. Mix the martial arts. Stay focused. Treat her like a threat that she is. And like I said, mix the martial arts. And definitely, if you do that, I think Cyborg gets the victory. You made great points there. And I do think Cyborg's going to win, personally. I think she's going to win. I know it's MMA. I expect the unexpected, but I don't think Arlene Blencowe is the girl to do it. Like I said, hopefully Cyborg doesn't look too far ahead with Cat Zagando, because considering Cat Zagando ever since going to Bellator has looked really good at 145. But yeah, definitely make great points there, Dan, and totally agree. Can't wait to see a Cyborg fight, because Cyborg brings it. Cyborg loves watching Cyborg fight. We can move on.
We shall talk see. Yeah, I want to move on to this. I want to get your breakdown on this for the interim bantamweight championship. Juan Archuleta versus Rafion Stotts.
Well, man, what a great Coleman event. This could be the main event if they wanted to. I mean, I understand Cyborg is the big name in his actual championship, but this fight is so damn good. It's a shame Sergio Pez got injured, man, because Sergio being the champion, I mean, would definitely be great to see Sergio against Stotts, considering Stotts is his training partner and Sergio's really good. But what a great replacement. Instead, you got Juan Archuleta, the former champion who Sergio beat to get the belt, go against Rafael Stotts. And Stotts come with that impressive victory over Magomed Magomedov, who was the guy, you know, a somewhat boogeyman from Dagestan, who was just dominating guys. I believe it was 15-1 prior to that fight against Stotts. The guy who always took dudes down, just dominate guys, and he out-wrestled a high-level Dagestani wrestler, which you don't see often. It just shows how good Rafion Stotts is. I mean, Stotts is like phenomenal. The guy is 17-1. He's only lost to Merab Devasheli. If that's how you pronounce his last name. His last name is hard. Devasheli. There we go. That's his only loss of his career back in 2017. Other than that, he's won every fight, and he trains with Sergio Pettis and Duke Rufus. So, I mean, Stotts, you know how way his game is wrestling. Good wrestling. If Archuleta's gonna have to step those takedowns, or at least give him submission threats. If he can do those things, Archuleta is the better stand-up for the fighter of the two. Personally, I mean, he trains with Tj Dillashaw. He's Tj Dillashaw's main sparring partner. I have to tell you about how good Archuleta is striking. If he's trained with Dillashaw in terms of sparring all the time, he's Dillashaw's #1 sparring partner, and he was the former. Yeah. Exactly, he was the former bantamweight champion too, 25-3. Very good, very good. I mean, the guy's got, you know, he's got 11 knockouts, TKOs, and also 13 decisions. So if he does, you know, he tends to, you know, he could go for decisions, but he can knock you out too if it's there. And like I said, very good striking. Even fights he doesn't get finishes, he tends to have great striking too, and good, and you know, decent footwork, but great striking. I mean, he's a very, but he can go for takedowns too. He's not exactly a one-dimensional fighter, Archuleta. He can do other things, but his strength is striking, and he's a better striker between him and Stotts. I think Stotts has the advantage wrestling, so it's a wrestling striking matchup basically. Where this fight goes, if Stotts can take it to the ground, he should win. If Archuleta can stuff the takedowns, or present submissions off his back potentially, can get it back standing, then Archuleta could probably win. This is a coin flip fight for me. I think I could see either one of these guys winning because it's so good, so competitive. They both come from great gyms. Like say he trains with not Whitman, Dwayne Ludwig, Archuleta. Then you got Styles with Duke Rufus and Rufus MMA. I mean, this is two high-level guys going at each other, in my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. I'm looking forward to this one, especially after that performance that Rafion Stotts put against Magomedov. It was something none of us were expecting. He came in fully prepared with that game plan, confident in knowing what he was going to do against a guy that was Boogeyman, and now he's got that extra badge of honor on him, and he's coming in there very confident against a Juan Archuleta who there's no reason for him to have any lack of confidence. But we also have on the card, man, Kyoji Horiguchi versus Patchy Mix. Well, what do you see happening in that there? Because that's also part of the Bantamweight Grand Prix.
I forgot to mention that that Archuleta does come from a wrestling background, though, in amateur wrestling Purdue, but Stouts is the better wrestler. So I wonder that does play a factor going against a fellow wrestler in that fight. I forgot to mention that as well. But yeah, but you mentioned Horiguchi and Patchy Mix. I like this fight. I love this fight. This is another excellent fight. Horiguchi, who was the champion but never lost the belt, got injured and he was stripped, and then Archuleta won, and then Pettis won, and then him and Pettis fought him, and he was beating up Pettis. Basically, he was winning that fight. Then the fourth round, Pettis does a spin back fist that drops to Horiguchi and basically finished him, which that's something you just don't expect. I mean, you got caught off guard, and so those punches that knock you out.
It's one of those like overhand right. Overhand right can catch anybody and put anyone down.
Horiguchi is so good. I mean, he's been very good for a long time. I mean, this guy fought for the flyweight title against Demetrius Johnson, UFC. Guy who's, was the Rising and Bellator bantamweight champion. Guy who a lot of people have always put respect on his name because he is that good, and the guy is very complete. Fastest. Horiguchi is freaking fast. I mean, that guy, he may be one of the fastest fighters in this tournament. I think that speed's gonna be very important for him against a guy in Patchy Mix who's got very great jiu-jitsu, very great grappling. I mean, this guy, his grappling is very dangerous. Patchy Mix, he's got like I'm trying to remember how many submissions this guy got. This guy's got 11 submissions and 15 victories. That should tell you how good this guy is with his grappling. I mean, if he gets it to the ground, you're in trouble basically most times. Unless you're one Archuleta, which I give Archuleta plenty of credit for surviving some of those takedown attempts from Patchy Mix in their fights. I think he's the only guy to give Patchy Mix a loss in his career. But yeah, for Horiguchi, it's gonna be great scrambling when Mix goes for takedowns, and also use your speed to avoid getting taken down in general. Because if you can use your speed, I mean, you can give Mix some problems because you come in and out, hurt him with your striking. Because Horiguchi does have very good striking. He can hurt guys with his striking. I've seen him do it before in previous fights. If he uses speed to catch Mix off guard, that can really mess with his flow in terms of going for takedowns, and that can really do some damage. And I think he can win that way. And personally, I mean, this is gonna be this is such a good fight. I mean, I love this tournament. Shout out to Bellator for making this tournament. I just can't wait for Saturday to come. This is gonna be freaking incredible.
Also on the main card, the start of the main card, we have Alima Leigh McFarland versus Justine Kish in the women's flyweight division there. What should we expect in that fight right there?
This is Leigh McFarland's first fight in almost 2 years, since December 2020.
A lot of ring rust.
It's been over a year and some months of ring rust. Her last fight was the loss of Julia Vasquez, who won the belt from her. She's coming off her first loss to her career. It'll be interesting to see how she bounces back from that. I mean, she is a Hawaiian native, and so this is probably the fight the crowd's most invested into is her fight against Justine Kish. And I always like when they go Hawaii Bellator for Leigh McFarland because the crowd's very different. The crowd in Hawaii is very it's one of the best crowds in MMA when she fights in Hawaii. And side note real quick, I find it a shame that Bellator's going to go Hawaii, but the UFC can't. Considering Max Holloway's been calling for that for a while. I mean, how do you not have Max Holloway in Hawaii? That just makes no sense.
Because he is such a crowd favorite.
It's ridiculous with that. But let's go back to the Bellator thing. But I just want to mention that because it should be mentioned. But yeah, for fighting Hawaii, she tends to have very she tends to do. She usually has some of her best performances, like some of her title defenses. She's gotten like stoppage, several. She got like a triangle choke against Valerie Letourneau back in the fight in Hawaii back in December 2018. She pinned the belt. And I think against Justine Kish, she's going to stop her, probably submit her because her grappling is pretty damn good. Limiting McFarland, despite the layoff, I think Kish is a perfect opponent for her to come back against. I know Kish fought in the UFC several times. I think her last fight was in the UFC. I forget who she lost to. No. It was she lost to Deanna Bennett before.
Yeah, Deanna Bennett. Yes. I remember that fight. We both expected Justine Kish to win that one, but Deanna Bennett came in with better striking, and she ended the fight on the ground, just through decision.
Yes, you're right about that. Good point. And before that, she lost to Tracy Cortez in UFC. That's why I was being confused. I forgot about the Bennett fight. That was several months ago. And yeah, I don't like Kish's chances. I think Limiting McFarland's going to beat her. Probably second round, just to get a little her timing back because she hasn't fought in a year and a half. And I do think if Lima McFarland does what she's supposed to do, she'll get a big victory in a silver rematch between her and Juliana Vasquez, potentially. If Vasquez is to get by Liz Carmouche, which is not an easy task. Considering Liz Carmouche and McFarland are teammates. So imagine they're probably working together. Maybe she's telling Carmouche about things about Vasquez as well. But
yeah, that's an interesting fight right there. I gotta be tuned in for that one. But then, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's the end of the main card for Bellator because you still got the counter up.
Yep.
It's just one left, right? One left.
Yes.
I'm gonna only say this one time.
Uno.
The preliminaries for Bellator are on YouTube on the Bellator channel for free.
FRE free.
You saying it now? Cause I don't know if I'm getting to the people.
No, I think you are now. It's free. It starts at I believe 8 o'clock on YouTube for the prelims.
Most definitely.
And the prelims got some good fighters. I mean, one matchup I'm interested in seeing, and I'm surprised. I didn't know he was in Bellator. Was Yancy Medeiros. I had no idea he was in Bellator. I was kind of surprised when I looked this up. Like, Yancy's in Bellator? He's been in UFC for a while now. Had some success. Had his ups and downs in the UFC, but he's going against Emmanuel Sanchez, a guy in the lightweight division. A guy in Emmanuel Sanchez who was a title challenger. Let's not forget, he was in the semifinals of the featherweight tournament before losing to Preciso Pitbull in the first round via submission. And 2021 was not a great year for him. He lost 3 fights. All of them were to good fighters. I mean, Pitbull, Matt Burnell, we know how good he is. So another guy we didn't mention for the probably Pico or McKee or to fight next potentially in their fights. Matt Burnell, also Jeremy Kennedy, who's a pretty talented fighter as well in the featherweight division. So he's hoping to turn around this year, make 2022 a good year. Going up in weight class, maybe he feels like maybe he thinks he can do better in a different weight class. Maybe because he's not small for 155. I'll say that he's 5'9", so 5'9", 155 is pretty decent size.
Yeah.
And maybe he can turn around. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say another fighter that I'm interested in the preliminaries is Bobby King. He's been putting in some work these last couple of preliminaries in the Bellator. He's been getting I think he's coming off of 2 KOs now. So I'm interested to see what type of work Bobby King is gonna do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. I want to mention of Bobby King. That's in lightweight against Keon Diggs. Okay. And another fighter I want to mention in the prelims that I'm kind of surprised is Godi Yamuchi. I want to butcher his first name. Yamuchi.
Yamauchi.
Yamuchi, yeah.
Gyoti. I don't get it.
Gyoti Yamuchi. There we go. Now, you know what it is? It's the I. I was confused with Kyoji Horiguchi. I didn't want to confuse that. Because we're just talking about Kyoji Horiguchi. I didn't want to get. That's why I got confused. But yeah, Gyoti Yamuchi is on the. He's fighting welterweight division, going against he's going against Levon Chokeli. There we go. I don't know why I'm butchering these names. Usually I do better foreign names, unless it's Greek. But anyway, yeah, Yamauchi, very good fighter, very good grappler. I mean, his grappling is very elite. I mean, the guy's got 20 submissions. 20 of his 26 victories are by submission. He's come out of victory by TKO in his last fight over Chris Gonzalez. I mean, the guy is pretty good. I mean, the guy it's very consistent, very good submission, and also got good striking too. I mean, the guy comes from a karate background as well, so I believe he comes from a karate background. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong about the karate background. I think so. I could have sworn I heard from he has a karate background. I could be wrong. You know what? If it's the case, I'll write in the comment section. How about that?
All right.
But yeah, definitely.
I was saying we shall definitely see that. Guys, check out the preliminaries. I ain't gonna.
Yes, free. The preliminaries, YouTube, 8 o'clock on Saturday night. You'll definitely see the preliminaries, and very good one. Like I said, yeah, Yancy Maduro, Camilo Sanchez. You got Gyoti Yamanouchi on this card, and you got very good preliminaries. And if they're like last week, it should deliver, because last week preliminaries for Bellator were pretty good. A lot of finishes. You got a great fight of Hernandez and Luna on the card. Definitely a great fight. A sleeper for fight of the year. That fight, I'll just say that potentially. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully this Bellator prelims delivers just like the last week's, which I think he will potentially.
And they have 2 chances at it. But ladies and gentlemen, like we said, look forward to this weekend of MMA. Friday, Bellator kicking it off with a card. Saturday, UFC has got us at 6 p.m. They kick us off, and then Bellator gets right back to us with the second day at 8 p.m. And women are headlining all of these cards, so it's a women's weekend. Salute to them. They got it on lock this weekend.
Yeah, but, definitely. I mean,
go ahead.
I think it's the first time ever a UFC and Bellator are headlined by women, let alone 3 big MMA shows, and even though it's by 2 companies at the same time. That's a first. That's the first time ever.
Most definitely. And we shall see what the results are. But thank you guys so much for joining us and breaking down the UFC, breaking down Bellator, breaking down the fight game, point blank period, the kicks, the punches, the chokes, the grappling, everything that we do, we love, because we love the sport. We just love breaking it down and analyzing and seeing what could possibly be next, the big fights to come. We love reminiscing on the big fights that have already happened. And Austin, any last words?
No, it's just that it's a very busy eventful midway weekend these last 2 weeks, and this week especially, and and looking forward to this weekend, especially the bantamweight tournament. Bellator definitely kicks off. Definitely was almost looking forward to. I think it's gonna be very good. I think that especially that Saturday card, I think is really gonna deliver for those fans in Hawaii, and those fans definitely gonna enjoy some very good MMA. And can't wait to see what happens. Can't wait to see Cyborg do her thing potentially. And then McFarland's back, the Horiguchi and Mix, and then of course Archuleta and Stouts, excellent fights. And even the women's main event, the UFC with Lemos and Andrade. I am interested if Lemos can make a name for herself and be a former champion, or if Andrade comes in, beats up Lemos, and gets back in the strawweight rankings. We can't wait to break it down next week. What happens, and hopefully it delivers. I mean, I expect to deliver. Hopefully, we're at next week. We're both excited to recap what happened last week, and we have a lot of good stuff to break down. So, thank you everyone for listening and watching us on YouTube and listening to us on audio platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, Speaker, Anchor FN, etc. Thank you guys. We appreciate the support.
Most definitely. My last words is just echoing what Austin said. We love breaking down every part of the fight game. Even the boxing, even though those guys don't give us much support, I want to give a shout out to Errol Spence Jr. He's got 3 welterweight belts now, ladies and gentlemen. He's got 3 welterweight belts. He was able to defeat your Dennis Ugas in, I believe, the 10th round via TKO. Doctor stoppage. The doctor had to stop it because your Dennis's eye was swollen shut. Because Spence just kept hitting him with that uppercut, hitting him with the body shots, hitting him with the uppercut, hitting him with that jab, vicious straight. Errol Spence Jr. is a problem, but now boxing, it's incumbent upon you. Errol Spence has the 3 belts. There's only one other man that has a welterweight belt, and we know who that is. Make the fight. It's that simple. Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. We're unifying all the belts. We're finding out who is the best welterweight boxer. It's a mega fight. And it ain't even in the heavyweight division. Make the fight. Don't mess this one up, boxing. Don't mess this one up. But from Austin, Chef Dan, thank you everyone for joining us, whether it be on the audio platform or on YouTube. Once again, we are taking questions on our YouTube platform. Just letting you guys know from now on, you guys type it up in the YouTube platform. At the end of the show, we will answer those questions. But thank you guys so much. Have a good night. Peace.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are